Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we'll be doing this setup. I'm sorry guys, you guys getting this video in like 2 hours and I'm just now doing it, but I am pushing to get it out to you guys. So here we are working. I was at this venue before. You guys probably seen in my previous tutorials. This venue is familiar because I've been here before, probably twice before already. And I'm working on this silver shimmer backdrop. Oh, and this is my first time. It may be surprised to some of you guys, but this is literally my first time working on the shimmer backdrop. So I'm showing you guys up close. This is the ones that had like the circle panels in the back, so I was able to put my 260 in between to connect, and I only made one connection point on the actual wall. The rest of my connection points was all on the floor. And the colors will be listed in the description box. I can go over them really fast for you guys. The dark purple is Black Inside Crystal Purple by Tuftex. And then the light purple is Pearl Lavender by Qualatex, Stuffed with Blossom by Tuftex. And then the regular silver is just the Reflex silver by Sempertex. But everything will be listed in the description box. I am building cluster by cluster. I did not know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to break them up into two pieces though. So this is the first piece, something that's going to be on the floor. And you guys know I love a big bottom, so I will be, flaring it out. But I'm just right now adding on my clusters. I had clusters of 8 balloons and I had clusters of 6 balloons. And I'll be just going back and forth, just based on when I need them. Like the cluster I just added, it had 2 large balloons. And one thing working about with crystal balloons that I noticed is when I was twisting my clusters together, I had to be really careful because I guess the crystal, whatever they make the crystal latex out of, it's a little sticky. And when you start to twist them together, they was like popping, like the top layer was popping, not the black balloon, but the crystal part was popping. So once I got on site, nothing popped, but when I was at home inflating and twisting them around, I had a few that popped on me. So just have to be careful if you want to work with any kind of crystal balloons in the future. Then that's just a tip. But yeah, I'm adding on my clusters. In the front of that Reflex silver, I added in my quad of 4 balloons because you guys know I love my quads, and I have a really good example on when you don't add one versus when you do on this setup. So stay tuned so you're gonna see that difference. I'm moving up the happy birthday sign. All of this was provided by the vendor because sometimes you guys ask where I get this from, where I get that from. I didn't get nothing but the balloons. I show it with the balloons and that ladder, that's mine. That ladder I purchased from Lowe's, it was like $260 or something like that. It's by Little Giants. But everything else was by the vendor. And I'm moving up the sign just because it was like sitting right on top. So here I go. I'm adding more clusters. That's a cluster of 6 balloons. This is the event planner I'm working with. Moments by Bella Monroe. She's amazing, you guys. And I'm just adding in more clusters. One thing I can say though, on the left side where I had that purple, I should have added maybe another cluster because it wasn't peeking through enough for me on the side, being as though it was on the side of that dark purple. I should have added a little bit more at the top part. But for the most part, everything came out great. Everything came out amazing. And I didn't know exactly the design, but I kind of like where it was going, where I had like the 2 separate points at the top. So I just left it like that. And I just started to build more. If you guys don't like in the beginning stages, even though it's the beginning, if you don't like where it's going, take it apart and start over. So right here is where you guys can see I didn't have a quad. If you want, rewind it. And then when I added that quad, to me, it was like a game changer. It changed it from just having like a round ending to a pointy ending. And to me, it looked more attractive that way when it had like a more pointy ending. And you're going to see something else when I, another example when I do the silver ending on the right side. And now I'm adding my attachment points at the bottom. I'm going all around and adding my points. I just use a piece of duct tape and a 260, and I love this venue because everything is marble, so it sticks very easy. I just press it down. So right here I'm adding that quad, you guys see, and creating another pointy bottom. So it was just like really straight, curving in, but once I added that quad, it kind of filled it in and pointed out. Here I have these helium balloons. I don't have a helium tank. I outsource all my helium to Party City. And this was just something I thought of, I want to say that morning or the day before, because it was going to be on a shimmer wall and the colors. I figured we needed something else. I wanted some type of movement, without having to do like, I'm still doing something in the ceiling, like having the orbs in the ceiling. Oh, actually, I didn't have anything in the ceiling. They always filled with helium. But yeah, I wanted some type of movement. I thought this would be perfect. So I had got these done by Party City. Well, I took my balloons there for them to inflate them for me. And I thought it was perfect. And I used 10-pound. For me, the real game changer is using 10-pound fishing line. Using 20-pound, even though it would, 20-pound will work, but I feel like 10-pound is less. Of course, it's thinner, so you're going to see it less. So using the 10-pound for me, I like it better when I use orbs or, anything with this kind of look. I like using the 10-pound. So I'm adding on my 5 inches. You guys know my 5 inches are pretty much sized the same. I use my Lavender, but if you use a hand pump, I just use 1 pump of air. I just make sure the neck of the balloon is all the way down on the nozzle, and I just do 1 pump. It gets you about 3 or 3.5 inches for a balloon, and I pretty much sized them all the same. So I'm working on the top piece now, and I'm going to build what I can on the floor and before I put it up. This top piece probably gave me the run for my money. The bottom was super easy, and the top part was smaller, but it's so hard, which I've been enjoying, getting different shapes with different designs. But I feel like the smaller setups is much harder than a bigger setup. I feel like I can do a wall easy. That's nothing. I can do a wall. But when you say let's do something smaller, but you want to do something different and you want to do something with a different shape that you haven't done before, to me that's harder. Especially because we're working with balloons. They pretty much all the same size. If you go too much, it starts to look real chunky and real hot mess real fast. So you really have to be careful when you're working with smaller spaces and trying to get a unique shape. And it's a challenge. I'm still learning different shapes and how to achieve different things with smaller setups. But this was more so challenging because I wanted this whole thing of balloons to look like it was facing the front. So kind of like it's floating too. So it was hard me using fishing line. I don't use fishing line for attachment points, but I needed to do that for this because the 260 would have shown. So I use fishing line, and I'm so heavy-handed. That's why I don't really use fishing line like that, because I be pulling and I'm thinking I'm not pulling hard enough, but I am pulling hard enough, and I end up popping the fishing line, which happened like at least 3 times when I was trying to create these attachment points at the top, and I had to keep redoing it. But I end up figuring it out without it falling over or anything. So this was the hardest part though, just trying to figure out how to do a shape, and especially trying to do a shape on a ladder, because you got to keep going up, going down, going up, going down. It's not an easy thing. So this is me just trying to, add some attachments, add my 5 inches on when I can, just to get those out the way. And then we do have the number 33 that will be coming in on the right side. And then I'll be adding the rest of my orbs that I have in helium as well. And I'll show you guys one more thing I would have done differently with that when we get there. But I'm adding in some clusters, trying to fill it up a little bit more. And when you add your clusters, you want to make sure you add them to the one you connecting it to, also to the left of you or to the right, because sometimes you may see like, well, it's a gap. I get people that ask me, how you get your clusters so tightly together, is because when I tie my clusters together, I'm tying it to the right of me and to the left, or to the left and to the right, and at the top or at the bottom, you want to make sure it's grabbing from at least 2 different points, unless it's at the end or something. But even then, you want to make sure it's grabbing from at least 2 different points. That way it will be nice and tight to the actual whole design. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, so this is me playing with this, going back and forth. I think in one moment I had took something off. This is where I added another connection point, because the dark purple was kind of falling over a little bit and I needed to stay straight up. So I had to make another attachment point to make sure it stayed at a certain level. Well, not level, but make sure it wasn't falling over and it was staying like straight up. So yeah, this was hard. It was hard. It was a lot of adding stuff, stepping back, and my body felt it the next day. And my body always felt it the next day. And I had 2 events this day. I had one that afternoon, so this was a little bit more in the evening. But I had one that afternoon. It was for a repass, so I didn't record anything. I just didn't feel comfortable recording anything. And then I had this event, so yeah, my body was on ice the next day. Well, not literally, but yeah, I was resting. And this is me still adding stuff, and I don't think I end up liking this. It was too bulky, and I took it off. And I ended up replacing it. And even when I added it at the top, I ended up replacing it with another purple. So you guys will see I had. And look at the helium balloons on the left. I just like them so much. They just floating around, just moving around. And it kind of like goes with the shimmer wall, because the shimmer wall has its own kind of movement to it. So with the helium next to it, it just all like a vibe. And I added in that large 18-inch balloon because I need another large balloon. So this cluster I'm adding at the top, that dark purple one, I end up replacing it with a lavender one. I don't know why I put that color up there. You know, I try to stay within the color block. And this is a quad that I'm adding here because I wanted to not make something too thick, but I wanted to be like pointy a little bit. So I'll add that there. And then I think we're gonna, I don't think I get the end part when I switch out the 2 clusters. I end up moving that dark purple one back to the dark purple, and then having the lavender, I moved the lavender cluster at top. So you guys will see in a few seconds. But this is pretty much the end, you guys. I forgot to record when I added the ores, but they was helium, so I just moved them to place. And this is how everything came out. Only thing I would change is that purple orb that I had. I had another silver one, but I would try to replace it, but it ended up popping. So I tried. It could have just been all silver and then all the crystal purple on the left side. Because to me it looked a little eyesore with that one purple orb because the color's a little off. But what do you guys think? Let me know what you guys think. Oh, please don't forget to like the video, subscribe. This is the final look. I hope you guys enjoy. If you have any questions, just let me know. Whew, I'm tired, you guys. I'm going to go. See you in the next video. Bye.